What's up, YouTube? Back again with another video. This time 96 Jeep Cherokee again, working on my mom's. Had a laundry list of things to do on it, so we're kind of just making an entire video series and all at once while I'm working on it. So far we have done the shocks all around. We did bump stops in the rear. I've still got to do the fuel tank. And right now I'm working on the wheel cylinders and the rear brake lines. If you don't know what the wheel cylinder is, it's part of the drum brakes that expands when you press the pedal from the hydraulic fluid to push the shoes out against the drum. So it's what actually does the braking for you. They'll end up leaking a lot. They're pretty easy to do as long as the lines aren't super rusted out, but otherwise they can be kind of a project. So you got to take apart the whole. You should. I'm sure there's a way to do it without taking apart the entire drum brake shoes and all that, but I take all of it apart, and let me just show you what she's got going on. All right, so here we go. All this stuff on the axle flange is for me getting the drum off. Sprayed down with some rust penetrant and all that. But this piece right here is the wheel cylinder. It's bolted through the backing plate. This is the backing plate here. It's what everything attaches to. It's bolted through the backing plate, and the line goes through the backing plate as well. The bleed valve is also on the back as well. Then you got your anchor up here, all your springs, your shoes, and then your adjusters are right here down at the bottom. So drum brakes are kind of a bitch, not gonna lie. They're complicated, but they work really well. They're complicated for setup, but once they're set up properly, they work really well. So as you can see, I'm guessing it was either this side or something along here. Usually what happens is they'll leak out of the boot here. But what happens is as you press the pedal, there's two pistons and they push out and then push the shoes out. And then the rotation of the drum catches the shoes and actually makes them rotate like this and wedge themselves against the drum, and that's what gives you your braking. Just know which shoe is your leading shoe and which one is your trailing shoe. It's not always what you think being in front or rear of the axle. Depending on the design, whether it's a single pivot or double pivot, it can make a difference on which shoe is the primary, which one is the secondary, or leading and trailing, however you want to word it, because it makes a difference on the thickness of the braking material from the start. Let's see. Pretty sure this is a double pivot, but yeah. So your only pivot point is up here. So what happens is that as you press the brake, this shoe pushes forward until it touches the drum, and then the drum actually pulls it and pushes the back one. I don't know if you can see that movement. It pushes, when this one catches and pulls forward, it actually pushes back on the rear and wedges it against the back. So that gives you your most braking power. So I think that, if I remember right, that makes this the primary shoe and this the secondary shoe. But I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, leave a comment down at the bottom and let me know. But they also have where the pivot is down at the bottom, and then they press out. Instead of rotating and pressing out, they just press out, and then that should be your primary and this should be your secondary. But because this is a pivot system, whereas you press the brakes, the whole mechanism, the whole shoe assembly rotates, this should be your primary one. So, like I said, if I'm wrong, feel free to leave a comment below and let me know. But you can see there's brake fluid residue all along here. It was really horribly leaking. And then when I transported it, I put it on a trailer to transport it, I had the line break right about here, Z somewhere. The line just snapped and broke, or cracked and broke, and then it's leaking fluid everywhere, as you can see by the bottom of my garage floor. That right there is from soaking the drums, taking them off. But it's pretty much almost lost all of its brake fluid, so that's going to be fun. But we'll get the other drum off on the other side and start taking a look at this and seeing what we need to do. Because basically what I'm going to do, as you can see the lines are super rusted and everything, I'm going to replace all the lines in the rear, both wheel cylinders, and then just bleed it and go from there. So we'll see how this goes. Quick thing with taking the drums off, you usually have to go in and through the backing plate there should be an adjustment port. They're real similar to the YJs as well. They both work pretty much the same way. I'll leave a link in the video here for the YJ brake adjustment, and basically you go in there and do the same thing, but you just unadjust it so that the brake pads actually push in together, and then you can pull the drum off. Now the driver's side, I think because of all the oil and it's a little bit out of adjustment, that one came out really easily and didn't have to use anything. Passenger side, since that's the side that's leaking. The driver's side isn't coming off quite as nicely, so I'm gonna take basically use a hammer, hit on it, make sure not to hit the studs, but hit the drum and around the edges and on the back edge of it very gently, see if you can break the rust free. They have some tools that are basically like giant presses that hook onto the back of the drum and press on the axle shaft to pull the drum off. But if you don't go in and adjust it down so that the drum shoes are actually smaller than the drum, it can be a really hard time getting them off, because what happens is you'll actually, as you drive it, if the drums and shoes have been on there for a while, it'll actually wear into the drum and then leave a ridge on the back side of the drum. So on the drum here, it'll actually leave a ridge. You can see where there's kind of like a darker edge here. That's actually raised up. It's not bad, so I'm hoping the other side will come off pretty easily. But if these are worn drums, because I think these were new drums when she got the vehicle, I did brakes on it. I'm pretty sure these are new drums, so because it feels pretty clean in there. But there's a ridge that'll develop right along this top edge, which is actually the back inside piece. And then your shoes will actually sit up inside that ridge, and then you won't be able to pull them off without either pulling off the shoe material, or sometimes you just break off the whole shoe, depending on how old everything is. So we'll get going, see if I can get the other side off just by tappy with that little hammer and go from there. All right, guys, so here's your part number for the wheel cylinders. They're the same on both sides. Dorman W610166, and it also has a replacement for the other two main manufacturer part numbers there. But this is what it is. This is what it looks like on the back side. So there's two bolts that go through the backing plate. There's where your line goes, and then this is your bleeder screw. Those are the pistons inside. Here's your seals, and it sits in the drum. Like if you're sitting looking at the drum from the outside like I was, this is where it sits. The shoes resting against there, and then when you push the pedal, they push out and push on the brakes. So you can get rebuild kits for these, but I found these on Amazon for $7.50 a piece. So it was like 15 bucks to get two brand new ones. So it's up to you if you want to rebuild them or not. I just don't see the point with how cheap these are getting nowadays, because a lot of vehicles are going to disc brakes or have gone to disc brakes. Some vehicles are going back to drums, but I don't know, you can find stuff really cheap online. They wanted like 25 bucks a piece at the parts store. So like I said, I always try to support local places first, but you know, with that big of a price difference, I'm not made of money, and probably neither are you if you're watching these videos. But that's yeah, seven and some change a piece, so 15 bucks and some change with free shipping from Amazon. Now for the brake lines, you can go to your parts store and get just lengths of line that are terminated and have ferrules on the end of them, and then just bend them to what you need. Or you can get just straight line without having actually any ferrules or anything, but then you can do the ends and put the pieces on. But I don't like doing that. This is a company I found on eBay actually with doing brake lines on my truck. Inline tube. They actually have a pretty good website as well. You can go and look at what they have, but they're pre-bent, pre-threaded with the ferrules on the end, pre-terminated, all the good stuff, and they come with protectors on them as well. And here we go, and this is how they ship, straight out of the box. I didn't do anything. There's no packaging or anything in there. Looks like there's a little bit of some paperwork down there, but that's pretty much it. And everything, at least with my truck, when I did it, everything worked great. Went straight in, no issues. I did have to tweak them just a little bit, but you're going to have to do that. But the ends are capped to protect the threads. Everything's pre-bent and aligned and ready to go. You just got to figure out which side goes which, and I'm pretty sure that's how that one goes across the axle. And then so one side is for driver and one side is passenger. So as you can see, I'll crawl under here. You can see that right here is where your brake fluid comes in. This is a flex line that goes up to the body, and then it's a junction block, splitter block, whatever you want to call it, and the brake line that comes out this way, and then one comes out this way, and then goes into the back of the drum. So we're going to try and take these apart, see if we can even get them apart, and go from there. The biggest issue is getting it apart from the junction block. So if I can get that to come apart, that's going to be dandy and great. If not, that's going to suck and be a lot of extra work. So here we go, we'll see. All right, so good news is that I got them to break free from the junction block. So you can see there it's moving, but you can also see the line is moving. Those ferrules are supposed to rotate freely, but of course they get seized up. So good news is that I'm going to be able to save the junction block. I got it on both sides here. I was able to get them both moving. So, and this is why I just decided to get new lines to begin with, because this is very, very common, especially where I live. We're in the salt belt. Everything just rusts the fuck out. So now I'm going to try and get the ones off the wheel cylinders and keep pressing along here. All right, so we got all the brake lines out. They came out in pieces, so that's one reason why I'm a big advocate of, if you're going to do anything with wheel cylinders or junction blocks or anything, just have new lines, because especially if you live in the Rust Belt like I do, they're going to just fall apart. So the passenger side came apart in 3 different pieces, and the driver's side, I had to cut one of the lines off of the wheel cylinder on the one that connects right to the wheel cylinder. It just wasn't going to budge and it stripped out. So so we're at a good stopping point with this for the day. I'm going to take a break, go watch some football, maybe drink some beer, and stop there. Brake lines aren't fun, but doing work like this yourself will save you a lot of money in the long run. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. So when you're doing brake line work, make sure that you do not use your standard box wrench. That will just make your life a living hell. And if you use the boxed end for tightening down the ferrules and everything, you're going to hate your life, because you just locked your wrench into staying underneath the vehicle for the rest of its life unless you undo it all. Don't use the open end of a box wrench. You're going to strip stuff out. You're going to hate your life. They make wrenches called line wrenches, weird enough, that, as you can see, it's a little rusty and dirty. You can kind of see, I'm going to get a little closer, no focus. There you go. I'll give you the clean end. So as you can see, it actually hooks around just about every single corner. Oh, come on, there we go, of the ferrule, compared to your normal box wrench that just connects on 2 sides. Once you break it loose, you can use this to speed it up. But with this, it actually gives you better grip, gives you reduced probability of stripping everything out, and it will just save your life. Spend the money on these. The brake lines are different on every vehicle I've ever worked on. So I have a set of standard and I have a set of metric. As you can tell, the ones on this Jeep at the moment are 3/8. Who knows what the new ones will be? They could be a different size altogether. But hose them down with some rust penetrant, scrub them off, because especially if you live in the Rust Belt like I do, you're gonna get a lot of rust buildup, and then you might think it's the next size up when it's actually not. So scrub them down with a wire brush, hose them down with rust penetrant, and then just kind of when you're putting this on, just kind of work it back and forth until you find an edge, and then you'll actually use the wrench as you're wiggling it to clean off the material. That's why this one's so nasty and dirty. And then you'll be able to tell truly which size it is. And yeah, so we'll go from there, call it a day for right now, and we'll keep working on this project a little bit later. Thanks.
Hey guys, one last quick thing. Brakes are a very important part of your car's drivability, in case you didn't know that. Brakes help you stop, they help you control the vehicle, they help you not die, they help you not kill other people. So if you don't know what you're doing or have a question about what you are doing, read your instructions, read your owner's manual, get the factory manual, the Chiltons, the whatever. You know, some of these older cars, you can find the actual factory manuals on eBay, on digital CDs that you can then download. You order the CD and it shows up, and then it downloads on your computer. It's all in PDF format, and they're amazing. I've done it for my 89 and XJ and my 91 YJ. Read the manuals, understand the manuals. If you don't know what you're doing, don't just use my videos. This is the legal disclaimer, because this is brakes. If you don't know what you're doing, get a professional to help you, or take it to a professional and have them do it. Don't do something dumb and think something's half-assed, or even if you don't think it's half-assed, have somebody else check your work if you've never done this before. Brakes are very important. Like I said, it keeps you from dying, keeps you from killing other people. If you don't know what you're doing, get help. Thanks.